Hey guys. Yeah, obviously, as you could see, Blizzard Activision do be screwing up again, and for I don't know what reason, but maybe they're trying to hide evidence or something. But let's jump into it. So let's talk about Activision Blizzard again, and basically how the California State Department basically saying they're pressing more charges, particularly in this case, shredding abuse evidence. So I mean, it's just as bad as it sounds. They're just shredding up evidence. So, in an update to its anti-discrimination lawsuit against Activision Blizzard, the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing has accused the video game conglomerate of shredding evidence related to its investigation. According to Axios, the DFEH said Activision Blizzard has engaged in activity that made it non-compliant with the investigation. They called out the company's human resource personnel for tearing up documents, which says violates Activision Blizzard's legal obligations to retain pertinent information. Also called attention to the hiring of law firm Wilmer Hale and said requiring employees to speak to the company before going to the DFEH directly interferes with the agency's ability to investigate, prosecute, and remedy workplace discrimination and harassment violations on behalf of employees and contingent or temporary workers. Actually, another thing too, they also said that for temporary workers, they were also applying the lawsuit to them too. And I mean, if this is, truly happening with the whole shredding evidence, this just makes Activision Blizzard even worse. On top of the discrimination charges, now they're shredding evidence. It literally proves that they are just, they're guilty. And then also requiring people to talk to the company first before they go to the DFEH. It's basically an admission of guilt. Now, of course, I'm no lawyer, and the court has not decided that they are guilty yet, and they're still not guilty until they are proven to be guilty. But this is not something that a company that is not guilty would do. It's just not. Who just rips off evidence? It's either evidence to protect yourself or prove that you're right. Why would you destroy it? So it's very clear to me that Activision Blizzard, they know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing, and it's disgusting to see. So as much as I love to shit on Activision Blizzard, particularly with Bobby Kotick and his practices within the company, I really don't want to talk about this, honestly. It's just so disgusting. And I hope that Activision Blizzard can, change. Knowing them, though they're not, but we can hope. Up next, I want to talk about an indie dev that quits making games after an alleged abuse of the Steam's refund policy prevented them from profiting off their latest title. Now, what's happening exactly? Let's take a closer look. So, an indie developer steps away from making games after claiming that abuse of Steam's refund policy has prevented them from profiting off their latest title. Basically, if you play less than 2 hours of a game, you can refund it, or, if there's issues with the game, you can play more than 2 hours, but it has to be less than 14 days. Basically, if you can just, prove that you're not just abusing the refund policy, they'd be willing to give it to you. So, in this case, the developer in question, Emika Games, is the solo developer behind Find Yourself, Locked Up, and recently released Summer 58. Now, they're all positive reviews, and they seem to be working, but players are refunding the game, and it just costs $9. So, most people would be able to beat it in just an hour and a half, and they can request a refund. And, not every game that comes out is as short as this game, but, people probably aren't refunding the games as much as, people think others do. So, this is probably like one refund out of like, maybe a few hundred things that they buy. And so, yeah, basically, it's annoying. Again, with like the Activision Blizzard thing, people are just bad. Like, why? This developer, it's an indie developer. If you wanted to abuse a big company's games, that's one thing. You could try to argue that, stick it to the big guy. I'm gonna play their game and then refund the game. But even then, that's still shitty. Even with Activision Blizzard, if you were to buy a game and then just immediately refund it, if they made a 2-hour experience, for example, and have a refund policy of that kind, that's just abuse. Even, you should still pay them. And so I think you should never do this. But, so Emika Games, they're just basically leaving development for an indefinite period of time. And it's disgusting. So, I understand if you don't like a game. So maybe you get a half an hour in and you're just like, okay, I really don't like this. That's fine. But if you can beat the game in an hour and a half, just pay the $9. Holy crap. Why would you do this? But so, I don't know. This is my thoughts here basically. Is just don't do this. This is shitty. Stop this. Stop this. Next up, I'm going to talk about EA's confirming the next entry in the Skates franchise will be available on PC as well as consoles. And Cool. I don't know how to feel about this. I had never played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, nor have I played the Skate series. So, if you're into that kind of stuff, hey, good for you. But for me, personally, I don't really care. So next up, I want to talk about this new Saints Row game. So it's kind of like a return to form almost. It's not quite as insane as Get Out of Hell and Saints Row 4. But it's going to probably lean between like Saints Row 2 and Saints Row 3. And so, yeah, it looks interesting. And Skill up here talked about how he saw behind the scenes gameplay, and it looks good. The tone you've seen is consistent, but the gameplay side of things looks solid, particularly combat, real estate management, building an empire stuff. It's a shame that devs didn't show the gameplay as well. So, yeah, this is pretty cool. Personally, I enjoyed Saints Row 4. I haven't played Saints Row 3, so I don't really have a frame of reference for that game. I heard it's not as good as 4, though, because 3 tried to be funny and all of this, but without really leaning into it as much. Saints Row 2 and 1 was very different. It was a far cry. It was much more serious. And then they got to Saints Row 3, which is a little less, and then Saints Row 4 was batshit crazy, to put it lightly. So this one seems to be like almost like a return to form, almost kind of give or take, but obviously with some more crazy elements, like in Saints Row 3. So I don't know. It looks interesting. I don't know if I get the game. I'm not really into open world. Saints Row 4 actually surprised me with how fun that was. So we'll see. Okay, Fortnite adds more characters, I guess. So up next, I want to talk about the next Death Stranding game, maybe? So it's not confirmed in an official capacity, but in Regis's words, I think we're doing a second Death Stranding. The game is in negotiations right now, so yay. Now, why would this game be in negotiations, though, if it was going to just be released on every console? Now, there have been rumors that the next game would be an Xbox exclusive, and so this hints that maybe Death Stranding 2 is an Xbox exclusive. Or at least a timed exclusive. I don't think, there's no way Hideo Kojima would just make it Xbox only and PC only. So, this seems interesting. And so, I think it has the potential of being really big. The first Death Stranding, it was kind of polarizing. Some people loved it, some people hated it. But even though it was polarizing, I think the overall public opinion was that it was a good game, it had a good theme, it's just that it wasn't for everybody. So, I don't know exactly what they're going to do in Death Stranding 2. Will it be a sequel or like a parallel universe, essentially? How are they going to add more gameplay or like make it more compelling for those that didn't like it? So, I don't know. We'll see. And I do think, though, this is very interesting to see that Norman Reedus is like saying, oh yeah, there's basically a second Death Stranding. Or potentially, at least, it's just in negotiations. So, cool. I do hope to see, what Hideo Kojima comes up with next. Another sequel to Death Stranding, maybe a new game, is what I'd prefer, because I do think his mind's a little bit weirdo, but hey, it's pretty cool in my opinion. So the final thing I want to talk about is Double Fine's Psychonauts 2. After the cult classic Psychonauts 1 got released, it did not that great, but it became cult classic and later revered for the fact that it was a good platformer in the vein of SpongeBob's Battle for Bikini Bottom. And so now, they released Psychonauts 2. Now, I have no nostalgia for the game personally. I was a Nintendo kid for the most part, and then jumped on the TF2 bandwagon in 2012 when that game got free to play. So, I don't have really any frame of reference for Psychonauts 1 or 2, but people like it, and hey, that's great. And Double Fine, good job. The game so far seems to be really good, at least from what people are saying, and I hope more games like this come out. And with the topics it covers that I've at least heard about, like trauma, empathy, and healing, I think this is really interesting, and I think that you can expand on this further. So if this is Psychonauts 3, hey, I might play some of the Psychonauts games. So, we'll see whether or not Psychonauts 2 does well enough to warrant a sequel, or if it's just going to be another cult classic like the first game, and maybe they just make a third game, just to, make it a trilogy. Who knows? But I am very excited to see what Double Fine can do in the future with either a new Psychonauts game or, just new series in general. So, we'll see. So, that's the end of this video. Today we went over some bad things like Blizzard Activision. We went over some good things like Psychonauts 2. So, what do I think basically of this week? It's tiring. As much as I love to talk about Bobby Kotick and how he's an awful person for not only firing people while also increasing his paycheck, but this is just Activision Blizzard in its entirety just seems to just needs to get dissolved, honestly. It's just maddening to see the fact that this type of stuff's happening and they try to claim, oh, California's just trying to be anti-business, you know? They're trying to get rid of us. And then they're like, oh, we need to talk to them about it. And then suddenly they're ripping up evidence. They're telling people to talk to the company first before talking to the DFEH. It's... As much as I hate to say it, they're probably guilty. I'd love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong. I want the California DFEH to be so wrong. But when you're shredding evidence, when you are, telling people to talk to the company before the DFEH, I don't have any faith. I 100% think that Activision Blizzard did it. But to move aside from that, let's talk about just, ending thoughts with Psychonauts 2. Double Fine, great developer. I feel like Psychonauts 2 seems to be like a good game. So, I'm really, really thankful that, good games come out. And so, I hope that more game developers, come out of the woodworks and make good games. But, Steam needs to really fix their return policy. Particularly with people selling the games back after an hour, 30 minutes. Yeah, there's got to be some different system. Maybe for like indie games, when they know it's going to be short, maybe say like cutoff point is, like halfway at the game. Maybe set like personal timers. And then Steam verifies, oh, this is about like the halfway point. And so, there's some systems that could be done for that, but I don't know. But, everybody just stay safe, honestly. And have a nice day. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. I hate Activision Blizzard.